Hello everybody. Of course, this is Briefcase along with the lovely Mito bringing you ESPL Weekly Series number 3. Of course, this is the second game of the finals between Denial Esports and Cede Nullis. Cede Nullis really putting on the pressure, making sure that Denial's little PL there never got to be big. And let's get into the second game, I guess, right away, shall we?
Oh yeah, this is so interesting. This time Denial, they're the ones that banned out the Timbersaw, so in return, now we know what Cede Nullis will ban when the Timbersaw is already banned. They take out the Naga Siren. And Denial Esports, they're switching things up a little bit more this game, opting for the opening hero Slock. And just wondering how Cede Nullis is going to respond. Ooh.
I mean, yeah, I think what I would be really interested to see right now is if Denial Esports can change up their playstyle, because clearly the farm up their cores and push the game very, very late. It just doesn't seem to be something that Cede Nullis will ever let happen. Every single game we've seen them play this tournament so far, they have come out to a pretty early lead and kept up the pressure just tremendously. And that seems to be doing quite nicely against, obviously, Denial Esports' main way of playing as far as we've seen them do. So I'm pretty interested to see if they might be able to transition, change their tactics a little bit, and maybe go for a more mid-game or even early game oriented lineup.
Yeah, that's always been one of the debates in Dota 2. Do you adapt to your opponents, or do you force your opponents to adapt to you? Because back in the Alliance days, right, everyone knew what they're gonna pick. The heroes are just like the same heroes over and over again. You know S4 is going to be playing Mag or Puck, most likely. You know Bulldog's going to be playing either Lone Druid or Furion. And Aki is probably going to be on a Chen Enchantress. EGM, Rubik or Windrunner, or Crystal Maiden, those kind of things. But now, now they can't do that anymore. And in the sense that, Denial Esports, do you want to adjust your opponents, or do you want to go to stay with what you're comfortable with? And trusting that you'll be able to perform and execute the things you want to. So,
oh yeah,
I guess that's a pretty interesting topic to explore. Yeah.
I don't know.
Right now,
hard to say. Slark obviously will have quite a bit more presence than PL early on. So right off the bat, it seems like that might be what they're going for. They are taking out that Shadow Shaman out of Cede Nullis' pool, and I mean, I think rightly so. That Shadow Shaman has been doing an obscene amount of work in every single one of their games.
Yeah, I mean, they love that hero, and it's a hero they do really well with. The rotations, just getting that first blood, then helping out mid get kills, and then just constantly using, whenever you have the Serpent Wards, you go for a push, and then you get those towers, and you continue putting on the pressure. Yeah. Rasta is not a hero that I see that often. I mean, sure, in the previous patch, because you can solo Roshan. But
yeah.
I mean, and it was played as a mid solo, and now they've been using it as a support Rasta. Sure, I mean, Rasta have been used in the past as a support. I mean, especially in the older patches, but it just the reasoning behind not picking it anymore has always been it's such a fragile hero, even though it's got good disables. But you use Shackle, you can't move. But I mean, Cede Nullis, they've made it work really well.
Oh yeah, what do you think of the Storm pickup? I mean, right off the bat, can you actually you can ball lightning out of Pounce? I suspect, right?
You should be able to. I mean, you can disjoin all things like Dream Coil and whatnot.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Is it's like. I always think, oh, you know what, Pounce, it's an ensnare, it's kind of like an interesting lockdown, but then it has these interesting little mechanics for certain heroes where some of their escape abilities just simply don't work once you have been leashed.
I agree with you. Yeah, this Storm pick, wow, this is a bit tricky here. Is it going to be a carry Storm, or is it going to be a mid-solo Storm? Because earlier on, I mean, we saw one hell of a 6 Storm from Gamers League. So now I'm just pumped, really pumped to see Storm once again. This hero, I'm going to be playing it lots and lots and lots for the weeks to come. I have a feeling every time I pick Storm and go mid-solo, I'm just going to run into OD.
Yeah, probably. And now an actual Alchemist being picked up by Denial Esports. And I mean, we haven't, or at least I haven't seen too much Alchemist being picked up since his recent nerfs. His night vision, obviously, his unstable concoction being nerfed quite heavily, of course. So, I mean, do you think this is going to be a support Alch? Obviously, you already have Visage to help along with that, but I mean, Alchemist support not as strong as it once was. Still kind of the same in strength overall when he was a carry. Do you think that this could even be a carry Alch?
Nope, I think it's gonna be a support alchemist. But in a sense, that's the stable initiation. If that's what you're looking for, you know, you can't really say miss a stun like the Mirana's miss. It's only a matter of timing, you know. You can either throw the stun or you explode it on yourself. So, in a sense, it's a semi initiation. And now here's another stable lockdown, the Dragon Knight. Ooh, I'm loving the Dragon Knight as well. Yeah, so now I like Denial's lineup this time around. They have the gank abilities with the Slug. They have good pushing powers with the Visage as well as the Dragon Knight. And Acid Spray will always help dealing with, say, pushing creeps or like pushing Nullis' heroes further back a little bit more out of the defensive range. But man, I've been dying to see a Tinker and just to see the Aghanims with the 4 rockets flying all over the place. Like earlier I saw a clip of Dendy playing the Tinker. Holy crap. With a offlane Bounty Hunter and an Aghanim on Tinker, you have nowhere to run. You can't defend towers at all.
What do you... Okay, so one thing I want to bring up is what do you think of this Lifestealer pickup by Cede Nullis? Obviously, they have the Storm Spirit Lifestealer bomb, which, you know, is lovely and terrific. But when you do put Lifestealer and you man-fight him against a Slark, he usually loses in that engagement. So, I mean, do you think they basically picked it up? It seems like they just picked it up for the Lifestealer bomb, the ability to get some nice ganks in there. But, I mean, for me, it seems like an odd pickup when you have to fight against a Slark as well.
Well, if the team fight goes well, right, perhaps Doom will be able to get a Doom initiation on the Slug, and then the Lifestealer Bomb can be used on, say, the supports like Alchemist and Visage, and Dragon Knight. Or they can initiate on the Dragon Knight and just burst him down. Lifestealer does decently against a Dragon Knight. Sure, he has high armor, but if Dragon Knight ever gets higher amount of HP, then yeah, Lifestealer would chew through that pretty fast. So the option here for Dragon Knight, I don't think he needs to build too much HP based items, but instead opting for armor would be pretty nice. Or like items like Heaven's Halberd is good as well. But yeah, from Cede Nullis, they lack that push power that they had. I mean, sure, they have great ganking power, but if they can't capitalize by taking towers, ultimately it's still giving space for Denial to catch up whenever they want to. And Denial, they have pretty good ganking abilities as well. Perhaps not on the Storm after level 6 or on the Lifestealer if he has Rage. But I mean, a Dragon Knight with Shadow Blade initiation is always one of the best initiated in the game. Or a Blink Dagger on the Dragon Knight.
Oh yeah,
that would have been pretty awesome as well.
Yeah, and now a Disruptor going to the way of Cede Nullis, and personally, I friggin' love this pickup. I have run it so many times against a Slark, and usually you see a Slark, he pounces on you and he pops his ult or something along those lines and just starts to destroy you. Yeah, you are gonna melt. You're gonna die, but not before you put a kinetic field and your own ult down, and usually the Slark has a pretty tough time dealing with that if you have any teammates around. So personally, this Disruptor pickup, I just absolutely love it. A Slarter now.
Whoa.
The melee coming out of Denial, just ridiculous.
Wow, the go hard or go home strat. Slaughter. Every time I feel like this hero either does really, really well, or the game just completely turns on them, and you just end up flopping really hard.
Oh yeah, and I mean this time around, let me get a little intro down for TCN. You took him last time, you get Denial this time. Looks like we're gonna have Zissou.
Sounds good.
Playing as the Crystal Maiden, Supri as the Doom, Sonizer. How would you say that, Mito? Sonizor?
I don't know, Sony?
Sony's
I
or yeah,
always call
Sony.
them Sony.
Just Sony.
Before it was,
Sony
like,
as
Sony
the
Ace,
Storm
like,
Spirit.
Sony Force.
Yeah. Lion as the carry, Lifestealer, and Freezer are going to be the Disruptor, and I personally am going to be looking out for him pretty much all game. And Mito, my friend, would you like to take Denial?
Yeah, so on Denial Esports, we have Sealand playing as a Slug, probably as an offlaner. We have Defect and Exile playing supports, Defect on the Alchemist, and Exile will be on the Visage. And we have DK playing the DK. Wow, that
Damn,
was
that's
pretty awesome.
easy.
And Smurf will be playing on the Slaughter as a hard carry.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I just really want to see what the Slaughter can do. I personally, when you pick up one more, you already have Slark, when you already have DK and Alchemist, yeah, you have a lot of negative armor so far, and it's pretty terrifying to go up against that, but, I mean, if you get one nice kinetic field on Freezer, especially early on, that's going to be just game-breaking against all these melee heroes. Just keep them trapped, and then they're doomed, or just even putting in a barrier to make sure they can't run through it. I mean, whenever you're up against melee heroes and you can deny areas of travel, that's just the name of the game.
And imagine if the Disruptor can get Aghanim Scepter. Whoa, that's like AoE Doom.
Oh yeah. Why
What's
is
more
it?
Doom like than Doom?
Yeah, and why is it that whenever you see a support, like, and this applies to me, whenever I see a support, all I want that support to do is get enough farm to get an Ags, because every support has such, at least in my experience, such cool Ags upgrades. Like, Disruptors is just so interesting, makes that Static Storm ridiculous, and makes it just an AoE Doom. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, I wish sometimes like Disruptor can be run as a core hero, like perhaps mid solo. That would most likely be the best role for him to go on. But yeah, I mean, I don't think so far we've ever seen an Aghanim's Disruptor in a professional game, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, for this great opportunity
Oh
to
yeah.
come.
As far as these lanes are concerned, though, I feel, to me, it just feels like Slaughter is going to win this against Doom, with the lane always going to be pushing out, assuming he devours, and especially once Slaughter hits 6, it's just going to be very scary for Doom to be there, especially with that 0 armor right now. I mean, always a little bit scary. DK is bottle rushing, so, I mean, he shouldn't be having that bad of a time against Storm Spirit, especially if Defect and Exiled do this early gank that they're clearly trying to do. Now they are, there it is, charging up. Can they get the stun? Have they factored in the fact that, oh, it doesn't look like it. Not too sure if they factored in that Alchemist stun can't last for 7 seconds now. It's only 5.5, so I mean, stunning himself, and a little bit of an unfortunate and failed gank there coming out of Denial.
Yeah, it saddens me a little to see the Alchemist nerf, but at the same time I'm happy because that hero has been too strong for too long. And I'm not sure if it's the right balance to the hero, but it's nice to see a little change. Because I mean, when you nerf a hero that's considered OP, it allows more heroes to come out. But I just felt that a Shadow Priest would have been great for Denial Esports somewhere like along the line. It's got healing powers, it's got minus armor and plus armor for your own teammates. And the Shallow Grave can always save a life or two. So
Oh yeah, but I mean, yeah, Shadow Shaman just seems to be one of those heroes that, in my experience, is almost never picked up, and I don't know. It's just a little rough to run sometimes.
oh, but Shadow Priest is a very potent hero in this patch. You just need the right lineups for it. I mean, sure, it's not like one of those heroes you can just pick up in any game and be like, yeah, this guy is gonna be a great support. But if you have the right lineup for it, wow, it does amazing things. Like Sad Boys plays a They run a superb Shadow Priest.
I gotcha. And now it looks like Doom using these illusions just to harass a little bit, trying to screw up whatever pulls were going on. And I mean, as far as these lanes are concerned, Smurf getting so much out of his at the moment. 13 last hits, 8 denies. And you compare that against this Doom, I mean, he's not having a great time. Pretty much only eating creeps, I feel, at the moment. And Cede, who is actually getting more experience. Cede ever so slightly, but only because he is sharing it with Freezer for these creep pulls. I mean, in the mid lane as well, it just looks like Sony doing his very best to get as many last hits as possible. DK holding his own, but Sony, of course, has that regen. He probably wants to save that as long as humanly possible, just to make sure he can do as much with it as possible, of course. And Ceylan up top, I mean, yeah, Slark, he's getting a few levels, but he's not getting the farm that he obviously wants.
Well, the tower is pushing. I mean, the creep wave is pushing into the tower, and this is the space that he is looking for.
Ooh, can he get it? Oh, he does indeed. Good job on him. And I mean, now a couple smokes did get bought up. Haven't seen them used quite yet. Defect and Exiled still doing quite nicely for themselves in the jungle. Getting level 2s on each of them, of course. Zissou is actually level 3 though, so I mean, doing even better for himself. Sony seems to be, I wouldn't say commanding the mid, but definitely coming out to a lead there. Now Zissou, he has found a Ceylan. Just going to be popping that Dark Pack to get everything off him as much as possible, but sometimes you want to save that for Frostbite. Doesn't look like Zissou can quite finish him off, and indeed, the slow Crystal Maiden can't pursue this whatsoever. And now Supri actually does pick up a double damage, pops the Scorched Earth, and now he's forcing these low-leveled supports to get out of here. Exiled, getting chopped to death, and Supri, oh my god, the balls on this Doom, just ridiculous.
Really? I can't see them. Nah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, but wow. I mean, offlane Doom taking out one of the supports, sure, with the help of DD Rune, and I mean, this is not the kind of start that you're looking for if you're on Esports. Yeah, I mean...
Oh, not at all. And now it looks like Smurf trying to make something happen. Supri still with the double damage ever so barely. And there is the double stun. If he gets one lucky bash here, he actually doesn't have any in bash. He's still going to be able to polish him off with that sprint speed coming to his aid. And with that, has hit up level 6. Doom still only level 4. And now there's pretty much no chance in my mind that Doom can stay in this lane. He's got to rotate into the jungle. Slardar has amplified damage. Does Doom even have... He's got one armor at the moment. If Smurf ever wants to just go in and fight him, I mean, he's going to be doing an obscene amount of damage. He's getting minus 34% physical damage, so he's going to be doing 34% more. Just, ugh.
Yep, but now we have rotations mid from TCN.
Zissou and
go on DK.
DK, Electric Vortex, where's the follow-up? Exiled is here, actually polishes him off instead. Oh, a nice little counter gank, and now Freezer stuck where he doesn't want to be. Exiled, not quite enough mana for Soul Assumption, just Grave Chillin' to make sure that he falls. And DK actually getting a nice little engagement there. Denial coming out ahead and really just flipping that back on its head.
Wow, it seems like so far this game has been all about like getting counter kills, like fighting with inferior numbers and coming out on top. Oh, and they're gonna make it. Are they gonna chase down Supri at bottom?
Oh, there's no chance. Defect just gonna stun himself right now. Nothing they can do. Scorched Earth providing a little bit too much move speed for him. While that's happening, Ceylan is up top. No Frostbite available. Looks like he had a Dark Pact out of that. Of course, not the end of the world. And I mean, this means DK... I wouldn't say he's going to be winning the mid, but doing none too bad for himself in the mid right now. Actually has a regen rune as well, and with Sony being this low, he actually needs to be a little bit careful of Dragon Tail whenever DK gets near him.
Yep, and now we have a support rotation from Exile. So if he ever gets a stun, that should be a dead Sony. A stun into a brief fire, and then instantly the Soul Assumption comes out. Boom. That's a kill.
Oh yeah, and I mean, it doesn't look like Sony can even see up here. He, of course, is using that Static Remnant, and that's going to give him a little bit of flying vision, but probably not quite enough to see this Denial Exiled. And I mean, DK, all he needs to do is pop this regen rune, go up and get a stun, but I mean, Sony playing pretty cautiously.
Ooh. Well, Sony is going to be bottle crowing, I suppose, so he should be fine.
Is he? Where's the crow though? Where's the bottle crow? It's up top. Finally is going to be coming down now. DK has popped that regen rune. All he needs is one stun at the moment. And actually, if we look at the vision, where do we go? There we are. If we look at the vision coming out for Sony, he actually really can't see Exiled all that much right now. So I mean, not sure if he's actually made it out. If he's there or not, he's got to definitely be feeling something though.
Yep. I mean, you see a support missing, you see the creep wave are not being pulled. it's a pretty clear indication that, hey, there's someone sitting at
And
mid.
Supri actually getting
Especially
caught
with-
out, but can he follow it up? Does have a Doom available, and now they have turned this one on their head. Smurf gonna fall, at the very least, to the Doom, and they also catch out the Alchemist, so a nice counter gank coming out of TCN there, and some beautiful rotations out of Sony, and I think that was about it. Really just trying to make sure that everything goes their way. So, I mean, equalizing things up now. Freezer throwing down a little bit of a Thunderbolt onto that DK, but, I mean, really not going to be enough. And now you have Sony going into the mid, doesn't have his bottle right now, fairly low, and if DK gets this Invis Rune, pops it, I mean, that's pretty much a guaranteed kill on whoever he happens to choose. Maybe not Lion, though. I mean, Infest is always there.
Oh.
Unless there's no creeps around. He is going into the shop. DK, though, is going around. They have found him now. He's stuck in here. Saylant misses his pounce. Not so great there. And it looks like Lion, he can always infest his way out of this one. Doesn't even have to. But, I mean, so unfortunate right there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, they need heroes with better, like, easier setup. They should have gone for heroes like, say, Bane Elemental, you know, it sets up everything. Or even heroes like Earthshaker. Sure, it's still gonna be a little more difficult. What other heroes have reliable stuns in the game? Ogre Magi. Ooh, I love Ogre Magi. Is it called Ogre Magi? Because I hear some people call him Ogre Maggie.
Yeah, I know.
Sounds really, really
Pyrian
weird.
Flax calls him Ogre McGee. I'm pretty damn sure it's Magi, okay? And now it looks like a glimpse going back down onto Slark, goes through his invisibility, and indeed, he actually just realizes, you know what, I'm in a bit too much of hot water, I'm just going to TP out of this one, and indeed, just gets away pretty much scot-free. As far as what Slardar is doing, I mean, he's one of those heroes who, into the mid-game, he really provides a lot for his team. So far, though, hasn't seemed to have done really that much, and I just feel like he could possibly be utilized a little bit more. Of course, he does need items, but once he does hit 6, now they're trying to make something happen. On to Supri. Defect does get the stun off just in time, but once again, Sony is here to turn the tide, and it just looks like they're using Supri as a health battery to constantly bait out these two heroes, and it's working every single time.
Oh man, yeah, Supri, biggest bait ever. Wow, it's just like, I don't know, is it the face of the Doom? It just feels like it attracts so much hate from Now Esports. They want to kill that hero so bad.
Saylan up top,
Every
doesn't have an
time
ult
the TP
available.
splits.
There he does, pops his magic wand, has just enough mana to do it up. Now has just enough for one more pounce. If he can land on Freezer, not going to be able to polish him off quite in time. Couple more hits. Is able to TP out of there with his life, and with no TP support going up top to stun him, that's going to be a free and clear disruptor. But, I mean, down here, that -10 armor just does so much work. Trying to chase down Sony. The sprint doing a huge amount of work there just in and of itself. Familiars now, beautiful stun 1, beautiful stun 2, and a dead Sony because of him. Beautiful little micro out of Exiled right there.
Wow, why did he turn? Storm Spirit could have just kept running, but instead he turned around and then got stunned up by the familiars, and yeah,
I think from
pretty
my
much just gave away his
perspective,
life.
yeah, from my perspective, it looked like they couldn't see, they didn't know Visage was there, and so because of that, they thought, you know what, we could frostbite this Smurf, we could just kite him around and probably take him out for being a little bit, with just coming at us with a little bit too much gumption.
Ah, that's right.
But no, familiars were there, Visage was there, guaranteeing it all.
Yeah, and if you notice, I don't think we've seen a single Lifestealer bomb yet, like Storm Spirit plus Lifestealer, or like, yeah, I mean he's been having a good time farming up at top.
Oh yeah, but I mean, yeah, nothing too much has been used, and sometimes, of course, you do see that when you see a lifestealer, you usually just wait around until he has, what am I going for? Until he has an armlet. Now Static going down, Frieza though, getting caught out by these familiars, Exiled absolutely melting, the familiars can't really do too much. While that's happening, Supri once again eating all of the damage is the main tank. Smurf, beautiful stun out of him to stop Sony. Sony goes in, can't quite find him yet. He has almost enough for Slithering Crush. Oh, Defect can't quite get the stun off in time. Stuns himself. Saylan, what are you doing here? Pops his ult. seeing if he can't finish off Sony. Can indeed. Denial though, Dragon Form doing a huge amount of damage right now. Once again, Defect trying to find a stun. At the very least, he'll find a Lion for his troubles. Familiars come in. Do they have a stun available? No, it's off for a little bit of time, but DK turns around, turns the tide, and makes sure that that Lifestealer does not make it home.
Wow, that fight. So many times I thought the Slug was gonna die, but he barely gets out of it. Ooh. And I think very soon we're gonna start seeing a lot of sentries or dust from TCN. Seeing that, hey, DK, he has enough money to get his Shadow Blade, and Sealand is also heading towards that Shadow Blade. So, but once they do go get those Shadow Blade, right, the initiation from Denial Esports is gonna be so much better.
Oh yeah, and I mean, Denial playing really nicely now. They're taking these fights. They have this much more early and mid-game oriented lineup that seems to be panning out pretty well for them, and this is just a completely different game than we saw the first time around. TCN not having that massive early lead, not really having anything to hold on to, and I didn't even realize this was getting stacked at any point, and Cede able to clear that up pretty efficiently with Dark Pact, of course.
Yeah, and then Slaughter is pretty close to Blink Dagger if that's the item that he's going for. And then, wow, suddenly the game, I feel like it'll be very different. The initiation from Denial might be a little harder for TCN to be able to handle, especially with supports.
But we do have an Infest Bomb.
Meter.
Dude, first Infest Bomb of the game. It's coming up.
And that's why I love Midas on Lifestealer. Whenever you're opting to use the Lifestealer Bomb. Because look at him right now. He's not farming. He's just sitting inside his Storm Spirit. But he's not going to fall behind by very much because he has a Midas, and it's going to help him stay on par with any of the Denial core heroes.
Oh yeah, it looks like Dragon Form now has been used. Shadow Blade as well. Do they have any sentries down? No, they don't. Beautiful blink in. They have the blink. They have the shadows. All the stuns going down. Supri now gets caught out, but the Infest Bomb is there, of course. DK realizing things are not going exactly the way they had pictured it. Susu with a beautiful ult as well. Right in the middle, nothing to stun him. And a Doom going down on DK as well. Exile now hiding in the trees, can't do too much. And Sony doing a huge amount of work. Once again, Supri, just the health battery of his team, gets out of here limping, but I mean, doesn't even die for that one.
Wow, yeah, I mean, ooh, if the, I don't know, if the Slug was there. Oops. Would it have been different though? I felt like if they could have gotten more of the damage down, it might have been a different story.
Well, of course, not only that, I mean, Slark onto Lifestealer, you just basically tunnel vision him onto it. At the very least, going to slow him down and should be helping your teammates quite a bit. Or even just tunnel visioning onto Zissou, who got almost an entire freezing field off. And, I mean, that is one of the most damaging spells in the game. And if you don't take out a Crystal Maiden as she's doing it, I mean, that is just a ridiculous amount of damage coming out of her.
Yeah, but what choice do you really have? There's so many targets in that fight that you need to take out. If you don't disable the Doom, then Doom is just going to doom one of your heroes. And then if you don't go for the Disruptor, then you know as soon as you engage with 4 melee heroes, he's just going to throw down the Static Storm. And then there's the Crystal Maiden you just talked about, the Freezing Field. And then Lifestealer, are you just going to let him freely attack all of your heroes? And then there's a Storm Spirit. If you try to go on the Storm Spirit, he's going to zip around. And Storm, that Orchid, he can disable your heroes as well. So it's just so many dilemmas they have to deal with.
Oh yeah, I mean, who do you target is really what it comes down to. Storm is actually nowhere to be seen right now. We do have 5 heroes right now for Team Denial, and I mean, they all have kind of their big items. Schlark has finally picked up that Shadow Blade, but still opting to not go in, just not feeling safe, because they're not really sure where everybody is situated right now. And I mean, this is a lot of wasted time for Team Denial. Shadow Blades aplenty though being used up. Does anybody have sentries or vision available? It actually doesn't look like they've gotten sentries at all. Just thinking, you know what, we have the ability to take these team fights and be fine with it. But I mean, the initiation that can come out of Denial is pretty ridiculous right now. You have your blinking Slardar, your invisible DK, and invisible Slark. All the while, if you have Soul Assumptions flying, not to mention one unstable going quite nicely, I mean, I guess we'll just see how this engagement goes.
The really tough thing about Denial Esports lineup is, I mean, if they can hold out the pushes, right, then TCN will be in trouble. as long as they now can hold. Because eventually, if you can't push, if you can't put on the pressure, then at some point you're going to start splitting up. And that's where Denial's Esports lineup really comes online. They're super good at picking off heroes with the Slug, with a Blinking Slaughter, with a Shadowblade Dragon Knight, and with the Visage Familiar Birds. Yeah, so TCN, they have to be aware that, hey, there will come to a point where Denial will start finding pickoffs here and there, unless they group up.
Oh yeah, but I mean, if there's one thing, I just looked over at the chat, and if there's one thing that they have been noticing, it's just Denial's, all they want to do is kill Doom every single team fight, and it just never seems to be panning out. Well, that happens. DK, though, getting caught out, but it was a bait. Zissou now getting caught out as well. There's the stun. Not going to be a full-fledged entire ult. Smurf, though, that sprint going to be hurting him more than helping him right now. And a glimpse back into a static storm. Actually, Freezer still very close to him, however. DK trying to do whatever he can. Has a stun available. Doesn't want to turn around. And with that Crystal Nova, that's going to be a guaranteed kill as well. You're trading basically your two strongest carries for the Storm. You are getting a tower of it as well, but I mean, you still got to give that in favor of TCN, who has Lifestealer farming on the bot lane, just free all day long.
Yep, but now that Slug has rotated bottom, he's gonna have to force Lion to run away.
Oh yeah, that's one of those matchups where you always think you can fight it, and yeah, it's kind of a stalemate until you start actually fighting with Slark, and then the Essence Shift starts coming into play, and oh, you just feel terrible.
Yeah, and Slug has nothing to lose. If Slug's gonna lose the fight, he can just pounce away or Shadowblade away. But if you're losing as a Lifestealer, how are you gonna run away from a Slug?
You won't if you get Orchided. Boom! There it is. Actually pops his Shadowblade in time. There's also a Dust coming down. Electric Vortex to finish him off. Doesn't look like they want to continue, however. DK now, though, being used, or coming in at the very least. No stun, no Shadowblade. Doesn't have Elder Dragon form, and realizing that that's probably not the best engagement to take right now. Smurf made his way over there, maybe, but both of them just deciding to back off. Lots of rotations out of Denial, possibly too many in my eyes, unless TCN actually overstays their welcome, and it looks like they just might have. They do find an Exile, and Fest Bomb, gonna be a kill, but I mean, they are gonna lose a Sony for it. Doesn't seem fair at the moment. Lion doing a lot of work, but now that ult no longer available, that Rage, and while that was happening, Ceylan tracking down the Disruptor all on his lonesome, so 3 for 1, it just looks like they overstayed their welcome in the jungle.
Yeah, this is starting to feel like the games from before, where TCN, they felt like they're 5 players playing individual games. I mean, they had a great start. They showed the potential of the team, but it's starting to feel that way again, where like, hey, we're just gonna have 2 heroes. We're gonna run in the opponent's jungle, and yes, they do need to get the wards up, and they want to keep up the pressure. But I mean, you see a map where all of the heroes are missing. They're most likely grouped up and playing either smoked up somewhere, or going for Roshan, or they're gonna be like grouped up and just defending their own jungle. So,
oh yeah.
I mean, through simple deduction, you can kind of tell. But once again, Dota is a very tense game where so many things are happening, and it's much easier for us as like commentators to just like sit back and look at the things that, oh yeah, you should have done this, you should have done that. But I mean, pretty sure both of us cannot play on the levels of these guys.
Oh yeah, no. Well, I mean, you maybe. As far as I know, you're a pretty good bid player, but no, me no.
No, I'm not gonna say any of that until I win a tournament.
Fair enough. Now we actually do have Sony running in there, Pounce and Dark Pact being used. Not going to be enough, however, and now this looks like a little bit of a dance going on. They're trying to take this Roche, but it, of course, doesn't seem to be going that way, and Defect going to be stunning himself, trying very hard to hide that fact from his opponents. You don't want Storm going in on a stunned Alchemist, of course. But now we actually do have a smoke going down on both Smurf and Exiled. And it just looks like TCN, they can't make the decision if they want to go for a Roche. Are feeding some familiars, however, so Exiled not quite on top of that as much as you would want him to be. And now with DK going all the way home, he has picked up his BKB. Smurf also not there. This is a free Roche for TCN.
Yeah, DK has to go back. He had no mana to do anything for his team. But he is TPing to the closest tier 2 tower and trying to run over. This Roche is going down fairly slowly. I'm just not sure if they will make it on time though.
It's down to the wire for the sweet taste of honey and nuts, and now right on to Zissou, and melts immediately. Smurf trying to make sure that he does not get a single spell off. Defect now, though, getting silenced all day long. Sony barely making it out of there alive with that haste rune, and while that's happening, Lion doing his very best to tunnel vision onto those supports, and now with that beautiful stun coming out, DK, though, getting glimpsed back. They only have one sentry available. Kinetic now does not quite land in time. While that's happening, Smurf all over Zissou once again. That's 2 deaths in a few seconds. Beautiful blink out of Smurf just in the last seconds there, but I'm not too sure he can get away from Sony fast enough. As Slaughter, he is one of those heroes. Oh, just man fighting, and the Familiar's there to save the day. So Smurf getting out of there with his life ever so slightly, and just some beautiful play coming out of Denial right there. And I mean, he needs to be careful. He still doesn't really know where Freezer is, but he's gonna get out, gonna get back home, and oh.
Wow, that was big. Wow, I bet the Storm definitely didn't see it coming, but wow, those Familiars just helping out his teammates once again.
Oh yeah, every time. And now Freezer in a bit of a jam now. Ceylan gonna be able to catch him out, exiled along with him, and while that's happening, Lion, what has he picked up? Has gotten a Basher now for his troubles, so Lifestealer getting to be pretty scary just on his own.
Whoa, I'm still thinking about that play. Smurf survives with 20 HP? Wow.
No, I was going to say, Slaughter is one of those heroes where once you have him cornered and you feel like you are guaranteed a kill, he just pops that amplified damage on you and you realize, oh damn, he's hitting me for 300 and I didn't expect it. And this is something that I see happen just all the time, and with amplified damage now at minus 20 armor, there's nothing they can really do, unless of course you have an Infest, Lifestealer Bomb, and Smurf just going to be falling for almost no reason. TCN finding an easy pickoff on the bot lane.
Yeah, and right now, if you look at the scoreboard as well as the goal graph and XP graph, everything is pretty much like reset to 0. So everything is like back to square one. Whoa.
Oh yeah. We just restart the game and it'll be about the same right now, you know.
Yeah, this is the weakness of TCN's lineup now. It's starting to show a little bit more. I mean, if they had the roster in their lineup, they would have been taking towers non-stop, consistently. Oh wow, and there's a pickoff.
Looks like we have a trade on the bot. Slark for Crystal Maiden, obviously a good trade favoring TCN there. Sony always waiting in the wings, and with that Orchid and I assume no Shadow Blade cooldown, it's just going to be a very easy kill against that Slark.
The heroes on TCN just couldn't capitalize on kills, and that was one of the worries during the draft. They are a very dominant team. The way they play, they just play so their skill cap is so high, and they make great rotations from the supports. But once again, look at these tier 2s. They're still standing strong. They don't have anything to chip away those towers fast, and eventually this will just come down to like a later portion of the game where people will just start farming up more and more items to the point where they can actually take the towers.
Oh yeah, and I mean, in our experience, that's exactly where Denial wants this game to go. Clearly TCN, they're well suited to do that as well. Doom finally has enough armor to take an amplified damage and still have positive armor. So I mean, that's something. And now it looks like they're trying to make a get and going on to Ceylan. Does Sony have any dust? None on him. Any on Supri? None as well. Freezer, however, plenty of dust on him. There it is. And it just looks like they do get the Orchid off. DK now in a heap of trouble, but Defect is here as well. Smurf, though, doomed right away. Can't get any stuns going. Can't really find anything to do. Is literally just running around the outside of this fight. Doom still on him forever. Man, that just does not let go. DK able to get out of there. Alchemist trading for a disruptor right now. And while that's happening, Smurf trying his very best to chase down a Storm. It looks like he has been able to do it, and now he's going to be heading back, and this is going to change the fight. No more Doom on him. He can actually man fight against Lion. One lucky stun was not quite fast enough, however, and Ceylan now able to take down a Supri. This Aegis has been popped. No ult available on Ceylan right now. He does find Exile, but these familiars trying their very best, and it looks like body blocking, getting caught in the tree. Ceylan, not too sure if he can help out right now. It does want to actually get as many Essence Shift procs as humanly possible. Needs to be careful though. Doesn't have Pounce, doesn't have Dark Pact, and now is actually going to be chasing him down with this Shadow Blade, and he knows as soon as that armlet is toggled off, that is going to be a dead lifestealer, and boom, there it is. Has 20 Essence Shift stacks. He's up to 70 plus 76 agility, I should say, and now, whew, that fight just continuing and continuing.
Wow, but so many great plays all around from both teams. Oh man, this is the kind of game I love to watch, where the fights go constantly back and forth, and it's like a test of skills. But ultimately, I felt Denial, they're definitely back in the game, and yeah, I'm hoping to see another Abyssal Storm. Yeah.
Pretty far ways from now, I have to say. DK though, I mean, he is getting pretty tanky in and of himself, up to 1600. Now it seems like, yeah, Storm can deal with him all right. Lifestealer is really who you want, just sticking to him like glue, however, and Smurf seems to be stuck in trees, the dumbest pathing it looks like in the world, or possibly just moving around very oddly, but nonetheless, Smurf not too sure what he's doing. Not sure if you saw that, but just going back and forth in the trees, my friend.
I don't know. They're probably pretty scared about getting smoke ganked right now. TCN's heroes are not showing up on the map for them. They're probably wondering, hey, where are those guys?
Oh yeah, very true. And I mean, this is one of those times, even in pub games, when you look at the map and you think, okay, where is everybody? I can't see a single person, and you just need to fear, or you feel it in your bones. You're like, that's a smoke gank, and there's going to be somebody right around the corner, and we need to set this up. But no, it doesn't look like that's the case. I'm actually not even sure what TCN was doing up there. They're just all hanging out in their jungle at the same time, having a little bit of a powwow.
They're probably anticipating his smoke gank as well.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the warding from both teams, right, they both can't see each other, and they were all grouped up pretty close as 5, and it's a matter of like not knowing if you're getting smoke ganked or not. It's one of those funny moments in Dota where everyone's like, oh, let's play safe, we gotta wait for the other team. But this does make a lot of sense, because in a lot of games that's typically what is happening, and when it does happen and you're ready for it, then it's all one of the things that very distinctly differentiates a high level team with a lower level team. Just anticipating those smoke ganks. Yeah, so it doesn't look very smart just standing around, but it actually is like discipline from good teams.
And now it looks like both teams realizing that their fears slightly unfounded, trying to make something happen up top. Freezer actually going to get stunned. It looks like it was a little bit of a bluff, however. You do have Supri and Lion there, always available, but now, of course, the rest of Denial going in as well. Lion trying to make something happen on Smurf, couldn't quite do it, and now the level 16 Dragon doing a huge amount of work on Supri. Just that slow, immensely hard to deal with. Smurf trying his very best to deny himself to these creeps, but the Doom just doing too much damage, and now it looks like Ceylan might be able to actually find Lion. Lion knows he's after him as well. He's popping those phase boots, running frantically, or I should say crawling. Ceylan just waiting to try and get this pounce. Does indeed get it, and now the rage going down. Wants to do whatever he can, but pops his ult and gets another kill. 21 stacks as well on the Essence Shift. If somebody had ported in there, I would have feared for them. And now it looks like Sony, not too sure what he's doing. Way down there, right in the middle of 3. Not too sure how he ended up there, but of course, feeding a kill to Denial.
They need a gem on the Storm Spirit. They perhaps it's something they should have thought about. Wow.
Oh, Slark making more work happen. Oh.
Yeah, they should have gone a gem on Storm Spirit earlier, and this was the problem I was talking about during about 10 minutes ago, where I say if TCN can't keep up the push, Denial with a double Shadow Blade initiation, as well as the Blink Dagger stun, they're gonna find a lot of pickoffs, and unless TCN have some like great detection like sentries, but at this point sentries isn't enough. The map is too big and there's too much room for Denial to rotate around, and TCN don't have what it takes to brute force all the way into the base and win all the fights.
And
yeah,
you know what it really feels like now is it's TCN, this team where in every game we've seen them play, they've always come out ahead in the early game, and they've been the one to keep up the pressure and put on the pressure. And now, once it seems like Denial has not only stabilized, but turned it around and made it so that they're the ones putting the pressure on, it just seems like TCN, they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to, like, deal with the pressure themselves. It just seems, yeah, pretty much that. They just can't deal with it themselves, rather than they can dish it out, but they can't take it.
Well, they can go for a bait, just running one of the heroes on the lane, and don't have the whole team sit behind, because it does make it a bit obvious. But if you say have a couple of, say you have the Crystal Maiden, right? Look at the Crystal Maiden right now. It's just standing mid. If the now gets baited with the Storm Spirit and Lifestealer just sitting behind, but at the same time have like say Disruptor at top, perhaps it can result in a bait. Right now, Sealand's looking for a pickoff again, and you have to expect this constantly. Like Supri is just at top by himself, but if you can babysit him with say a Lifestealer, or even just have the Lifestealer hide inside the Doom, they have the opportunities to turn around and get some kills in return.
Now there actually is a smoke on. It was on the courier, and it still is. Deciding actually not to use it seemed like a little bit of indecision right there. And now they do, of course, know that it seems to be everybody in Denial is in their jungle and hanging out. And yes, indeed, that is exactly what's happening. And now we actually have Sony trying to make something happen on Defect. They do get the Orchid off. He needs to pop that ult, try and regen through it. Can he finish him off before that happens? Can't quite do it, and now the regen really going to come out. Sony, looks like he didn't quite know where to go, is able to get out of there in time, and just does not quite have enough burst to finish off Alchemist before he pops that ult.
Oh wow. You
now
know
DK,
you're in trouble.
He's trying to get that Shadow Blade, make something happen, and reveal just in the last seconds before he actually gets there in time. Smurf, of course, with that negative 20 armor, would have really helped him out, but Supri has just been stacking armor non-stop. He's got a plate mail, he's got Shivas, he's got Mechanism. He's got plus 30 right now, so I mean, he can deal fairly well with the negative armor, but still, going to be putting a pretty big chink in it.
Yep. I mean, when your one of your core heroes, the Soul Spirit, can't even take out Alchemist, that's pretty rough. But then Alchemist already has a Soul Curious, so yes, somewhere along the line, Defect managed to sneak in an AC. Pretty awesome.
We actually have a Lifestealer bomb already in Storm Spirit, at least a bomb in the making at the moment. And Zissou, he actually has picked up a gem, just like you said, that they really needed to get one. And I mean, if they do use this gem very, very effectively, or just somewhat effectively, and to stop those ganks, maybe even counter gank a little, I mean, it feels like TCN could really pull this back.
Yep. Oh, what was I about to say? Storm Spirit. It was something to do with Storm Spirit. Oh no, it's not because they all have thunder kind of stuff, you know. I'm talking about Frieza. I'm still hoping to see that Aghanim Scepter just come out of him. Oh, that would be so big for them, you know. Like if the fight happens and he can drop a Aghanim Scepter version of the Static Storm, where it completely disables BKB and everything and items. Wow, I mean that would be game breaking for his TCN.
Oh yeah, I mean, and once again, it looks like both teams kind of just going back to grouping up, not really sure of where everyone is right now. They see a Zissou with this ward, but just ever so barely, and they ping it right away, so they must have a feeling now that that is up there. But while that's happening, I mean, Cede, he's finding farm, he's trying to basically counter push and split push a little bit, but Now it looks like he's actually just retreating back home. Not too sure why. They obviously did see it, and he, of course, knew that because of this Observer Ward and Slark's passive. And now it looks like we have an Infest Bomb onto DK. There is no way for him to get out of this one. Can't quite use that BKB fast enough. And even with that Reaver, I mean, melts immediately to Lion. Can't do a single thing. And with DK down, I mean, it almost feels like they have to give up this tower. Now it looks like Defect going to be stunning himself. Not the end of the world, but now it just looks TCN happy to take a kill and just head back home, leave, go wherever they want, farm up.
Whoa. Still waiting for that disruptor. I have faith.
Well, I mean, could be.
Frieza,
definitely
buy
seems
a
like
Midas and farm.
definitely seems like this game could go incredibly late. But what do you think of that last decision coming out of Denial there? Or I shouldn't say Denial, of TCN there. They take the kill, they're right on the doorstep of TCN, and now Lion trying to man-fight against Cede. Not too sure what he's doing. It looks like he was a little bit AFK, and that Basher coming into play at least a little bit, but like I was saying, do you think TCN should have actually tried to push in, take that tier 2 top?
No. Storm has low mana, Lifestealer and no ultimate. Storm's BKB was used as well. If you take the fight, you have a very big chance of losing. Right now, they're no longer in the lead, so if they do engage, they need to have the upper hand. They need to have the pick off and still retain all the big spells, and that's not easy to do.
No, but it looks like that's exactly what they're trying for right now. Sony, they have smoked up. Sony's running in. He's got Invis. Defect now. Oh, Defect, you look like you are in a bit of a pickle, and now going to be melting once again. So TCN realizing, or at least feeling like they're a little bit behind, and indeed they are if we look at the gold and experience. Getting some nice pickoffs, realizing that that's what they need to do, using smokes very effectively. And with this gem, I think it's just making it quite a bit easier. A completely and utterly failed smoke, Sony interrupting that thing, and all the pings going down. They know that that smoke did indeed happen. Not too sure, but they did see most of them. And with that, they're just going to get a tier 2, and I mean, still feeling pretty safe.
Wow. So Dragon Knight's gonna directly go for a heart and just tank up for his team, but then I was just thinking about Heaven's Halberd. I like the item a lot, and it does benefit DK a lot as well. You get the evasion, and you have the potential to maim. You get some decent HP, you get some additional damage. Overall, great item, and you can help to keep your teammates alive as well. I mean, Rage only lasts a couple of seconds, and you have more than enough time to do other things. And Sealand's just going at Lion on top.
Trying to man fight, but is able to get out of there, of course. And this is one of those things that we just basically keep seeing over and over, is Slark can just go in, take pot shots at Lifestealer, and every single time he'll get away scot-free.
Unless the Storm TP's in.
That's true.
If that was a Storm TPing in, that would have been a different story.
Very true,
indeed. So much money.
What? Who? Oh, Storm Spirit?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
and
Sony's just
Slug.
rolling in cash.
Slug has the Abyssal.
Slug picks up an Abyssal.
Lifestealer.
But Lifestealer, I mean, he's got that that Heaven's Halberd you were just toting as a very fine item indeed, and obviously now it feels like he can definitely man fight against the Slark quite a bit better just in general. If he happens to see him, first and foremost, you just disarm him for a little bit. Not only that, you just, I mean, only 75% of the attacks are going to get him, and it looks like they were able to catch a Storm off, and that's going to be a free gem for them, isn't it?
Yep. Wow, so at this rate, TCN, they will have to start playing 5-man Dota. There's no other way around it. If they don't play 5-man Dota, the game is hard.
Yeah, exactly. Denial's just going to find too many pickoffs, and Exiled actually has a gem for each eye, not going for glasses, but going for double monocle like a classy gent right now. And now, there's the buyback from Storm. Looks like the TP in as well. What can they make happen? Smurf, though, pops the BKB. Sony getting melted, and not the best of buybacks at the moment. And Ceylan, all the Essence Shift procs in the world going his way. Lion now getting caught out. That rage is over. Supri now in a heap of trouble. Look at the buyback status. Nobody has any on TCN. And, I mean, if they go for the throne, that could even be GG right now.
Wow, that was one hell of a fight. TCM were hoping to cut them from behind, take out the Visage and whatnot. But yeah, Denial, they held off really well.
But instead, not going
This
for the
will-
throne. There's the GG, though. After all that, and it looks like we are going to be going to a Game 3 of the finals. And I think this is actually the first time that has happened in the history of the ESPL Weekly Series. So, I mean, it's only the third one, but it is the first one, too.
Wow, these two teams are just so closely matched. I'm hoping we're gonna get epic Game 3.
Oh, yeah, nothing
Yeah,
worse than going to a Game 3 and having it be a stomp, right?
Oh man, I can't remember which tournament, but I think I've seen an under 10-minute last game. And I was so depressed afterwards. I was like, man, what did I just watch?
But nonetheless, I have been Briefcase, along with Mito, bringing you this lovely Game 2 of the ESPL Weekly Series Finals. Please stay tuned for Game 3. It should be coming up very, very shortly.